Hello everybody, it's Mr. Q again. What's up? I hope all of you are staying safe and having fun. Today is going to be part one of a series that is very important. I know that we have already talked about the topic of hiking, but being that I am living in a desert right now, I felt that it was very important to you to know some differences between regular hiking in a forest and mountain and hiking in a desert. So I have a two-part video that you guys will be receiving talking about what you need to know when hiking in a desert. So today, part one, let's get started. Hiking in the desert can involve rocks and dirt and plants. Alright, so you want to go hiking in the desert. That's okay. There's a lot of beauty to be seen in the desert. And hiking in the desert can be very fun. But I want to talk to you about what you should be thinking about when you go hiking in the desert. So let's start with the supplies. What are the basics that you should have? Of course, you should have some sort of small backpack. And in that backpack, maybe you'll have some snacks. You'll have some water. You'll have some bug repellent maybe. Maybe you'll have a hat. You need to have things in here that might come in handy to have later, even if you don't use it from the very beginning of your hike. It's very important when talking about your supplies to have proper foot gear, proper shoes when you go hiking in the desert. And we'll talk about some specifics of hiking boots and importance of water and some other supplies that you might not think to take but might be helpful to take, like a windbreaker. Not something heavy, but something light to cover yourself, and a hat of some kind. And we're going to talk about why you might want these couple of items later, but good shoes like hiking boots, a hat, and something light to cover yourself with. Very important when you go hiking in the desert. So here is my hiking backpack. I just wanted to quickly show you guys how I just keep some stuff in the backpack at all times. That way it's just ready to go. For example, I always keep some snacks in the bag. I always need more energy when hiking, right? And of course, you need to keep water. Always have some bottled water in there. And if you're going hiking with an animal, bring a bowl so that you can pour some of your water and give your pet some water so they can stay hydrated as well. These are just some of the things that I keep in my bag. What do you keep in yours, or what should you? First of all, let's talk about the shoes, because it's very important to have proper shoes when you hike in the desert. You might think, the shoes, what does it matter? But in the desert, there are many things that you might not think about that can hurt your feet while you're hiking. So you need to make sure that you have good footwear, preferably something that covers your ankles, because as you walk through the desert, there might be small desert plants that will come in contact with your feet. And although many plants don't necessarily cause a hazard to you immediately, they can be very irritating. They can put stuff inside your shoe, which makes it very frustrating and difficult to deal with. But of course, there's also things in the desert that you have to pay attention to that your good hiking boots can protect you from, like cactus. There are many cactus in the desert. It's very dry in the desert, and so cacti, the plural of cactus, cacti are just like all plants. They have leaves, but cactus leaves are called needles because they have evolved into spines. And these spines are made to help with gathering moisture from the air and for protection from animals and bugs and things. And these cactus spines, if they touch your skin, will certainly penetrate your skin. And some of these are very big. And even though some of them might be small, sometimes the spine goes into your skin, but then it does this once it gets in. So it's hard to just pull it out because it bent when it went inside your skin. So it's very important that if you can avoid cactus, you absolutely should. But it's always good that just in case you don't see a cactus, that you have good shoes to protect you from them in case you don't notice them or see them. Another important thing is you want to protect your feet from creatures. The desert has different creatures and animals that other places that you might hike, like on a hill or a mountain or a forest, might not have specifically. Deserts have very many venomous creatures. That means creatures that if they bite you or sting you will put poison into you or venom into you. And where I'm living right now in New Mexico, we have scorpions, we have snakes like rattlesnakes, and we have spiders. Those are the three most common creatures that will cause you problems. And a lot of the time, you might not need to deal with spiders because especially during the day, they like to hide under rocks. But so do scorpions. And snakes like to hide in little holes in the ground. It's very important because it's very warm in the desert, and there are many creatures like snakes that like to lay around in the sun. And if you walk up to a snake, you might scare it and it'll try and bite you. So having good shoes on, hopefully the snake or whatever will try to bite your shoe. And then you'll be okay because you had a good shoe and it protected you from that creature. If you look closely, you can see how some of those pieces of plants have gotten into my shoe and are stuck to my leg. And here's one of the plants that those things come from. Very annoying. So when walking in the desert, there are dangers on the path and off the path, especially off the path. So when you're hiking in the desert, the best idea is to stay on whatever path you're walking on. Don't try to go across country. Don't try to make your own path. Paths are there, which means animals and other humans have been there, which means that path should be relatively safe. But don't get distracted by everything you see around you. You have to pay attention to the ground. Unlike hiking in a forest And in the mountains, sometimes stepping on green things is okay, but in the desert, stepping on brown and green things that are not the ground can be dangerous. Like I said, they could be a cactus. And sometimes those cactus spines, those cactus needles are very strong. And even if you have very good hiking boots, they can still penetrate the shoe. It's very important to pay attention to where you're walking and to pay attention to the plants and animals that might be around you. Take your time and be vigilant. That means stay awake, look at everything, make sure you're safe. From up high, it doesn't look very dangerous, does it? It just looks brown and dirty. But as you get closer, you can see the dangerous cactus. And even on a path, you can see how dangerous, just very close to the path. And even on the path, sometimes there's cactus. You gotta be careful. All right, so today we talked about some of the things that you should take with you when hiking in a desert. Those things being a backpack with items in it that you might need, like sunscreen, snacks, water, bug repellent. We talked about having a hat, having a light jacket, and we talked about having good footwear. Talked about having hiking boots. So for today's homework, I want you guys to think about some other items that you could put into your hiking bag. Things that either will help you be more comfortable, help you to be more safe, or whatever. What might you want to take? Just remember that you don't want to have too much in your bag. You don't want it to be too heavy. So come up with at least 5 other things that you would put into your hiking bag and say why. All right? After you're finished, share it with your classmates. All right, guys, that's the end of part 1. We'll see you next time for part 2.